Unless you take part in your own kind of supervision, your own reflective practice as you go through, I think it can be easy to probably not connect back with some of this stuff, partly because some of it I think starts to happen like naturally, and therefore you don't have to think so explicitly about it. It becomes part and parcel of what you do. But I think the value of stopping and reflecting is really useful, because I think, as we'll see, both of ours kind of journeys have kind of changed as we've gone through and learnt more stuff and had different experiences. I think it's
being comfortable with the idea of knowing that for some athletes I work with, the notion of acceptance is quite tricky, and actually they quite like some of the notion of challenging some of the irrational type thoughts in that language, which we know is built from RBBT. So I think having a broad base to operate from is quite helpful, and getting that balance right between your congruency and also the athletes that you're working with as well, and what might work for them. So being comfortable to shift across some of those, if you've got the appropriate knowledge and appropriate skill set to do that, I think is really helpful. And I will go back to the car analogy. Is you as the idea of you have your therapeutic framework that you deliver from. That's you driving the car. If you know a bit more about the engine, it helps. You don't need to know about the engine. I just believe it's useful to understand a bit about it. And I think some of those language semantics is exactly part of our challenges in psychology. It really is part of our challenge at the time. But I would implore people, and this is experienced practitioners from young practitioners, spend a bit of time in that space and see if it helps. My view is it's helped me.
No, I'm going to chuck it back at you, because I'm really interested, like, having gone, right, this is kind of the scenario you find yourself in terms of that sense of your initial hypothesis. Where does your brain go before you've even met with the athlete? You've got the referral, you're obviously making some assumptions, you're making some well, not assumptions, but you're making some hypotheses when you're on the phone to the physio. I'm interested, and I'll share mine as well, like, where is your initial thought process going? As in addition to the work that we're doing with the athlete, in this context of this case study, we're also working within that system, and therefore part of the work around understanding injuries is also linked to, right, how do we as a system best manage and deal with this athlete when they present certain niggles or certain injuries to us? How do we manage maybe the language? How do we manage the way we're asking questions about it? How do we manage the way we respond when actually during a match they do pull up with an injury? How are we as a system responding in the moment to that athlete? So I think there's almost like two aspects to the work here. There's the individual work with the athlete, but then there's also the work in relation to the system and how we are collectively managing that behavior.